Good afternoon. So this will be a short agenda video. The zombies in the apartment are having a surge of energy. Mostly this happens at a time when the operators are starting a new delusion of this is a clone, he's been resetted, things like that. But I suspect that in the last couple of days we are entering a phase which is very well known and was discussed in this channel quite a bit in the last year of tapeshet. You know the word tapeshet? It's like מבניין סגמת, אז יש גם טפשת. טפשת, it's like a disease that of stupidity. And mostly it's of unknown explanation, even though the symptoms are well documented, and also the origins are well known. But what's not usually there's no explanation is the link between the origins, between the causes and the effect, between the origins and the symptoms. Yes, so good. Well-known example is טפשת הריון, but there is also טפשת סגמת, and you know, which is related to the topic of yesterday. It's well documented and not completely explainable, but well documented reduction, which is mostly temporary. It's mostly getting better with time, especially if the individual, if and when the individual is released from the military, it's mostly resolved. But a well-documented phenomenon of that when a person in the military, usually between the ages of 19 and 22, and on average closer to the lower end, to about age of 20, when they received the rank of Sagam, which means by the end of officer course. So they have sharp decline in IQ. On average, at least by סטיית תקן אחת, at least 15 point, on average, and sometimes even עד 2 סטיות תקן. So it mostly gets better with time and completely resolved. אם בן אדם לא חותם לקבע נוסף, חוץ מהראשוני, אז בדרך כלל זה חוזר לעצמו. But even though it's so well documented, so there is no kind of known. I don't know of any. Some say it's something to do with the magnetic, field between the two, metal, aeronauts, which affects the brain presumably. Maybe it's kind of explain why it's resolved when you get out of the military. I'm not sure about it. It sounds like a valid explanation, but science don't know exactly what's the reason, but it's well documented. So it's and טפשת הריון is also it sounds so chauvinistic when men speak about it, so maybe I should not discuss it. But women they tend to kind of discuss it in without in a liberal way. So maybe not to be לא להיות חשוד בשוביניזם, which is today worse than Nazism. So I will not mention it too much, but I just say that women, at least in Israel, discuss it liberally, so you can find references to this phenomenon. And also, it's not, to my knowledge, there's no explanation. Maybe I'm wrong. So a kind of tapeshet now is happening because of, and still I'm not sure. I know what's the actual link, but the causes are well documented, and this is the Nero-apocalypse, which means the death of the red Neros by the spaceships. And as I mentioned many times in this channel, this is a cyclical. This in itself is not a new event at all. The magnitude of the fleet, it is going to destroy all of humanity because of the reluctance to move arms and legs and the insistence of the movement of the tongue and the mouth, as I say every day. This ship, these many ships have never arrived. So this is a new thing, but the start of the process as I told you many times in the past, I mean, the initial phase of the process will be equivalent to what you've seen most remarkably in recent memory during the 1980s, but it's happened many times during the 20th century. Which means, because, I mean, in order for that to happen, you don't need all these ships. One ship is enough, and one ship was here at least 100 years ago. And, I mean, so this was a statistical process. I mean, I've discussed it many times in the past. And so what happened is that the red neurons are reducing. I mean, all over the world. And, I mean, this, I mean, can elicit, start like a winning process. And as I said many times, I don't know exactly what happened during the winning process. I cannot go through such a process because I don't have the red neurons in my body unless people, I mean, forced me to eat it or something like that. But I mean, usually I don't have it. I have the yellow ones and they multiply by themselves. So I mean, this is natural to my body. But I mean, for you, you know, you go through a winning process, and you, when I say you, I mean both Homo sapiens and possibly also Titans, because Titans can also be addicted to it, even if they have it in their own body by natural way. They can also be addicted to it. So you start like a process for winning, and I told you many times that I don't know exactly how it feels. I do know that, I mean, the more you have, I mean, the more severe, I mean, you know, the more addicted you are and more you have in your body, the more severe will be the consequences, up to death. But certainly not everybody dies from that. And I mean, my own family actually, I mean, consists of quite a bit of people that are survivors of the winning process of the 1980s. And so what you hear now, the zombies that you hear now, I mean, are symptom maybe of their own winning, but maybe of the winning of the operators, because you should remember these are zombies. I mean, they don't have brain, at least not, certainly not active brain. Maybe some kind of like a fossilized brain, or I don't know exactly how you do it. Like, I mean, a taxidermy brain, you know. Usually they just get that, you know, the Shabak just gets set out and thrown to the garbage. I mean, when they taxidermy the pedophile zombies, you know, it's part of the process. But maybe it's some kind of, you know, like an ancient relic is there. But of course, not an active brain. I mean, you know, just, you know, they just keep the vocal cords and the cochlear chip in the ear and some kind of, you know, like a wire, and that's it. I mean, they don't have brain. So probably what we see now is a symptom not of the winning of the zombies, which might also happen, but I mean, is not. First of all, it's not a severe one because they don't eat much, because they are low-rank zombies. And second, I mean, it mostly affects the brain, like this kind of winning, and they don't have a brain, so I mean, it can be really hard for them. But still, I mean, we indirectly see the tapeshet of the Titans operators. You know, again, like tapeshet sagemet, tapeshet herayon, so it's another kind of tapeshet. So it's a stupidization process that is associated with the beginning of the winning phase, and I don't know exactly why it happened. And again, I don't think that there's like any consensus or theory on the matter. I don't think so, but it's well documented, and it should be said that in the global, or certainly in the national level, I mean, it's not just a personal level, but it's also a national process, because the entire intelligence services became much more stupid. I mean, during the 1980s, and it's true to this day. But this was discussed in many other channels. I don't want to repeat myself, just to say that, I mean, the stupidity is not just, I mean, an individual disease, but it's, I mean, it's also a national disease that, I mean, and the nation never recovered from it. But I mean, this was discussed in many other videos, so let's not repeat ourselves. Just, I mean, I want to explain what's going on and why do they act in such a way that is not necessarily more violent than usual, but certainly more stupid than usual, even though the usual is very stupid, but this is even more stupid than the usual. Now, after that, I mean, important, I would say, kind of an update on the situation. I mean, we should think how to continue with our videos, because, I mean, still we have things to speak about. So first, I mean, I hope, I mean, you, as I said, I mean, yesterday there was kind of like, you know, an atmosphere of test, like, is this the real person, is he clone, even though the funny thing is that, I mean, I didn't even leave the apartment. I mean, you not even to throw the garbage. I mean, between, like, between, you know, like, the third and fourth chapter of the Game of Thrones series and the non-recorded, I mean, controversial, I would say, episode of the day before. So I mean, what could I mean? I still don't understand what could possibly have happened. I mean, just to show you that I mean, no matter what you will like, what these people of the intelligence services of the world, what kind of evidence they will get, they will only be more entrenched in their opinion. It's like a religion. To them, everything that relates to their profession, and certainly everything that relates to the titans or the foreigners of the world, it's like religion. They don't care about empirical evidence. They have all sorts of beliefs and symbols and mythologies. And unfortunately, this is true to the titans themselves, not just to the Homo sapienses. Because I mean, they're also part of the intelligence services, and they're also entrenched in kind of like a religious view of their own nature. So I mean, like religious, not in a good way, but I mean, like in the like in the non-empirical way, that I mean, that denounce like the senses completely. Like I mean, so I mean, never mind what you will see. I mean, how after everything that I told you, like in the non-recorded, the Game of Thrones chapter. I mean, how is it possible that I'm not Noam David? And I mean, if I'm operated in any way, I mean, so this can still be true a day after that. I mean, when I didn't even leave the apartment. Like, I mean, so what? But again, I discussed it here in the beginning of the chapter from yesterday. This is, just to show you that, these people are so entrenched in all sorts of beliefs regarding, me being possessed by other, spirits. Like, they are very into the spiritual worlds. I mean, like, it's surprising how much the intelligence services of this world, that presumably are so skeptic and even atheistic in nature, how much, what they do is actually relies on the belief in ghosts and spirits. Like, I mean, they, in a very kind of old way, like shamanist way. Not like spirit, like the spirit in the sky of a Christian, but more like spirit, the spirit, like, of like animals, or like, shamans and things like that. And so I mean, I must be possessed by someone, or I don't know, someone is guiding me, someone is speaking through my mouth. I'm not what I am. I have no history. I was born yesterday. I mean, all sorts of like, I mean, why the array of bizarre beliefs regarding my nature, that I mean, each of such beliefs should, in order to actually to accept it as valid, we need tremendous amount of evidence, and we have none. And I mean, just a simple theory that I'm exactly what my biography says, and I'm exactly who I says that I am. I always speak, and that this person, has consistent, consciousness since he was born 40 years ago, and as his formal biography is accurate, and he always, have been exactly in the places where his formal biography says, and any kind of knowledge about him that is not like, in the public domain should be suspected as fake, and vice versa. Everything that placed on Facebook or YouTube or things like that should be regarded by default as correct or truth. And all of it is kind of the natural way of this is the default way to approach any person, and presumably no one besides myself accept it as true. And no matter how much evidence you will accept it, and no amount of evidence will convince anybody that it's true. Even though by default it should have been accepted as the truth without to even if anything else is true and not this default theory, the burden of proof is on any other theory. But yet again, any other theory never, always failed to give us even a shred of evidence. And this, the default theory, received tremendous amount of evidence, but no, you're still not satisfied. This must be a clone or reset or any other kind of, spiritual idea that, is based on very queer religion. Just to show you what kind of people you are. And this is unfortunately not true just to the Israelis. It's true to people all over the world. They live in kind of in a ghost world. Where things are not what always they are not what they seem. And you should always completely negate the possibility that things are just what they seem. Your own eyes and your own mouths and tongue and and ears are only tools in service of all sorts of higher entities demons and spirits and ghouls and jinns and whatever. Anyway, regarding how to continue, many people want me to actually take a self-examination of the stuff, and as I said many times, my main problem is that I don't have any inclination after I've suffered so much. I always think that I'm going to just throw away everything, but maybe I'll take a little bit of examination just to decide how to continue. I should say that there is already so much videos in this channel regarding science, so just get access and watch these videos. I mean, it's stupid to think that I can or that I need to kind of like, replay everything or record everything. There are hundreds of hours of microscopic examination. Watch the videos. Just watch it. So maybe I'll take like some examinations to see what's going on in the container, but I'm not inclined to do any more science because of all the terror that I'm subjected to. Now regarding the Game of Thrones, so yes, of course there is still much to say. I really hope you enjoyed the fourth chapter. I must say the third chapter, I mean, התקבל בתגובות צוננות, איך שאומרים צוננות. Like, I received lukewarm responses from the critics, if at all. And I don't know why. I think actually I've listened to it again and again. I think that the third chapter is actually a very good, introduction to the Game of Thrones phenomenon that is not known in the public. But I don't know why, but it's really received, at best lukewarm response, and mostly just, it was ignored by all mainstream critics. And I suspect that, you just don't like people to speak about yourself, which is kind of like, it's pretty juvenile or infantile. You should be able to speak about yourself as well. In an objective way. The fourth chapter was more, received much better praise from critics. Hopefully, it will also receive, I would say, quite a bit of bombshells are, mentioned, even even some by name, like in this episode, and I really think that, it deserves, the attention of bombshells. But it's not for me to say, because as I say many times, my request and the request of my species from you, the people of the earth, is just one. We don't care about what you do, other things that you do. That's your own business. Our request is that you will rescue me and my daughters from the Nazi prisons using arms and legs, without any communication, using force alone. Get us out of the Nazi prison. And this is what is needed in order for humanity to get some kind of salvation from all the calamities that are going to happen to it. Some kind, not complete, avoidance of the calamities. The fate is already doomed for many of you. But if you want some people to survive, that's what you need to do. And anything else that you will do will not, advance you in this, even in 1 millimeter towards the goal of salvation, of saving the life of at least some of you. Everything else is just, your business. If you decide, to do this or that, that's your business. So, I believe that you should do all sort of things, but it's not what we ask you to do. What we ask you to do is one thing, and that thing alone. That thing alone. Get me and my daughters out of the Nazi prison with mouths closed, completely closed, without a word being uttered, even not one word. And everything else is just irrelevant. You can do it, you cannot do it. I think you should do all sorts of stuff, but and I hint to it, but it's just, it's not part of our request. And it's not part of the political situation of starships that are around the Earth, aiming at its complete destruction any moment. However, saying all of that, documentation is important, and so I actually don't think that I will speak much more about the courses that I went through during my military service, unless there is a very popular demand for it. If there is, I can make an effort to speak a little more about, the various stages of the officer course. Even though I think, I cover the important stuff. Usually it should be said that, in general, it should be said that this is like a very, it's like a, it's like, it's a course for troglodytes. It's like, you can't speak, I found it difficult to speak about things that are not boob related, because, I was mostly occupied with the boobs, because, just to be honest, there isn't, I consider myself a person of, a highly intellectual background and affinities, but sometimes, there is just, there is just, no intellectual, sometimes, there is really nothing significantly more intellectual than, staring at a set of boobs. That's I mean, this is something, sometimes this is reality. Anyway, what we can do and we should do is return to the discussion of the actual Game of Thrones phenomenon. And with actual examples, because you know it's important to actually speak about people, like, you know, again, not because they are important, maybe some do. If so, I mean, 20 years have passed since that, so, you know, people, you know, grow, they might become, you know, important since then. Mostly, I'm not in touch with any of these people, so I don't even know. So, but I mean, I don't know of any kind of like importance, but I mean, it is important to exemplify the political phenomenon using actual people, in order for the discussion not to be, you know, hearsay, like, so it will be like, kind of like, you know, a valid discussion, or like, you know, like an argument with flesh and bones. So I will discuss actual people. Probably, I mean, I know that, I mean, what you like, I mean, the typical audience, I mean, are like, you know, they are always in hunger, I mean, of all sorts of ways, so, I mean, they really like sex stories, and there are a little bit, I mean, such exist, but I mean, it's not of the greatest importance, and although there is like privacy issues that I discussed in the, I mean, in some of the previous videos. So I actually do not think that I'm going to discuss sex, at least not immediately. The most important things, as far as like, I mean, the Game of Thrones phenomenon, I mean, political phenomenon and example go, is, I think, to speak about, I mean, the people that during the military time, and also a little bit after that, but not now and not in recent years. I mean, we stopped being in touch. But I mean, the people that were were close to me during I mean, most of the military service. Again, Boris Dogadov, Yoav Zobel, Ariel Ben-Choresh, Gil Volbrum. I mean, okay, so let's, I mean, discuss these people, I mean, in the next video. I hope they will not kind of, like, you know, be offended by anything you said. Again, I will say it again, just, I mean, so we are clear. For me, none of these people is of any importance, and to my knowledge, they have no kind of like a objective importance. Maybe some, you know, one or two, you know, just by case do, but I mean, for me, this is the issue is the political phenomenon, but I want to exemplify it from, like, using actual names, like, in actual, you know, occurrences, and not because I think that otherwise it would have been like, you know, people could think, okay, so this, I mean, curious, I mean, you know, little robot, he has kind of like, you know, literary aspirations, which is a curiosity in itself, but okay, we accept it. So invents all sorts of, like, you know, literary, you know, stories, you know, using, I don't know, books that he've read, or I don't know what. So no, I mean, no, these are real people, and, you know, real events, and the political phenomenon is absolutely real, and had dramatic impact on the nature of the state of Israel. So that's the agenda.